sector on our radar. We have the realty sector as well. In our special segment, REIT Connect, Nisha Poddar caught up with Aravind Maiya, who's the CEO, Embassy REIT, to discuss the 5-year journey of REITs in the listed space.
Firstly, it's been 5 years. It's been a phenomenal journey. I think in terms of starting off on the regulations per se, starting with enabling the overall regulations with the regulator and then implementing it and then evolving the regulations based on what we saw in practice along with the regulators. It's been, I would say, a very educational journey for all of us, but it's very important at this stage to thank a lot of regulators for bringing this product to life in India, be it, of course, starting with SEBI, IRDA, Central Board of Direct Taxes, and Department of Economic Affairs. All of them have played a significant role in bringing this product to life. But just talking about REITs per se, you're aware REITs are supposed to be a stable asset class. But 1 year into the first REIT being in existence, we got kind of an existential question with COVID hitting us and then, of course, leading to work from home. But 5 years later or 4 years post-COVID, I would say we've come out pretty strong, fundamentally for two reasons. One, India office is here to stay. We can speak about this a bit more subsequently. And second is because of the regulations itself. What I mean by that is, if you look at the REIT regulations, firstly, it clearly says that 80% of the assets have to be completed and rent generating. 49% is the maximum leverage we can take. And we cannot buy land, which basically means there's no speculation. All put together, it ends up being a very stable asset class. So 5 years later, where are we? We are 4 REITs, 3 commercial, 1 retail, owning about 115 million square feet. We've raised about 26,000 crores from the market and distributed almost 17,000 crores in the last 5 years. So it's been a pretty good start for us as a product.
Right, but it's still at a nascent stage as an asset class here, Aravind. And in other countries, like in the US as well as in Singapore, they are much more evolved and matured with many types of also real estate being rolled out as REIT. How do you see India compared to the other matured markets, and what could be the growth potential going forward for REIT as an asset class?
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Nisha. It's very early days for us. Why don't I take US as a case in point? Because that's probably the most evolved market for REITs, right? In US, close to 99% of REITs are in the form of listed commercial real estate, right? The total market capitalization for REITs in US is $1.3 trillion versus that number is only around $11 billion for us in India. And when you look at the type of REITs or the type of assets which are in the form of REITs, it's starting with, of course, commercial, retail, there is residential REITs, there is hospitality in the form of hotels, there is hospitals, there's data centers, there's industrial. So a lot of asset class which are already in the form of REITs, whereas in India, as you're aware, is just 3 commercial and 1 retail. And also, just to speak a bit more on commercial, in US, there is about 4.8 billion square feet of commercial real estate, versus that number is only around 800 million square feet and growing pretty fast. So I would say the growth potential for this product in the country is very, very vast. And we've just started on a growth path as we speak.
That's right. And you mentioned about the various types of real estate also being part of it. But in India, we have one in which owns shopping malls, and the rest, the bulk of it really comes from office space. So let's talk about the potential, Aravind. What's the potential of this grade A office complexes, and in terms of growth, in terms of demand, as well as also the rentals increasing, which has a direct benefit for the investors of REIT?
Yeah. So talking about office, Nisha, the 3 commercial office REITs today own around 100 million square feet, versus the all India stock, as I said, is around 800 million square feet. But just to start with a few numbers first, over the last, if you see calendar year 23, we've done about 60 million square feet of gross absorption, around 40 million net. That number is expected to be around 65 million square feet for calendar year 24. And largely, this is coming from an unprecedented demand from global captives, right? So they are growing phenomenally in India. Again, to give you a few numbers on captives, today there's around 1,700 captives in India, expected to grow to around 2,500. They employ around 19 lakh people, expected again to grow to around 45 lakh people. And the interesting stat is close to 72% of global 500 companies as of today still don't have a captive presence in India. So all of these are coming to India. So the question is, why is commercial office growing in India? I would say broadly three reasons. Number one, the most fundamental being availability of talent at scale and at a reasonable cost. Now, if you want skill sets, people across different skill sets, you'll find it in India and at the scale which organizations want. So that's number one. Number two, I would say, is availability of world-class office space in India, like what you find globally. And probably the third important reason is the India as a country per se, right? We are seeing a phenomenal amount of growth as a country, stability in policy, a lot of investments in infrastructure, and of course, the focus on ease of doing business. All put together, I think these are, I would say, the catalysts for commercial office to grow, continue to grow in India.